No, it's the season for giving, but it turns out there's some Grinches out there. Authorities busting an international ring that they say used inside information from FedEx to steal packages. Take a look at this. Prosecutors in Suffolk County, Long Island, New York, say a high-level gang hacked into the delivery systems to know exactly when FedEx drivers were dropping off packages of pricey cell phones and electronics and stole them. 14 people arrested, charged with swiping hundreds of packages in a scheme that directly targeted FedEx drivers. Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney shows us how it works.
These guys are the bad guys. This is the guy about to drop off the package. You see what happens. That's the co-conspirator. Boom, they grab it. Boom, delivered. And then almost immediately thereafter, they come and they get it.
Prosecutors say the group had insider FedEx tracking information for purchases from Verizon and AT&T. After the packages were stolen, the items they say were held at a stash house, then resold in bulk to wholesalers across the country and elsewhere. FedEx responding, saying, quote, "With bad actors growing increasingly sophisticated, the shipping industry has proactively been working with law enforcement to address the rise of porch piracy."
We have all of these packages that are sitting at all of the entrance of all of our respective homes, which is great for us. But unfortunately, those thieves understand that's how it works as well. So especially this time of year, they're looking to steal whatever they can.
Oh, the DA says one way not to be a victim is to track your orders and see when your package is delivered. Of course, try to pick it up as soon as you can. Or maybe, Molly, do what we used to do, just drive to the mall and shop yourself.
No way. Absolutely not, Eric Sean. Are you kidding me? It's pretty disturbing, though, to see the one guy, shake it right out of the hands of the FedEx driver. That's crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Eric Sean, thank you so much. That was really, really interesting. Appreciate it.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
Frankly, it bugged us that only large investors were getting the consistent bond fund performance that everyone deserves. So, Vanguard made institutional quality bond funds available to everyone, with experts scrutinizing thousands of bonds and implementing repeatable strategies to maximize returns. In fact, 90% of Vanguard's active bond funds outperformed their peers.
Let's get that to 95.
Vanguard, discipline that delivers.
Wanna sell those wheels, wanna get in off for real fast now.
With CarMax.
You wanna do it your
Wanna drive?
way.
CarMax.
Stuffing a little spongy. Meanwhile, airports across the nation are buzzing today as Americans race to get to their Thanksgiving destinations.
Jonathan Nasseri is live at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta with the latest. Jonathan, how does it look?
Yeah, good morning, Griff and Brian. Right now, things are moving smoothly, but we're keeping a nervous eye on the weather. Yesterday morning, severe thunderstorms moved through the Atlanta area, forcing the temporary evacuation of the control tower. Another air traffic control site took over until staff were able to return about 10 minutes later. Now, as we speak, we're also keeping a nervous eye on the weather in the upper Midwest, where they have blizzard warnings issued. Snow expected to begin today and last through Black Friday, which could have a ripple effect throughout the system. Staffing levels are back to normal at air traffic control centers around the country following the end of the government shutdown 2 weeks ago. Even so, some passengers have waited until the last minute to make their holiday travel plans.
We kind of waited to buy a ticket.
Yeah, to see what was happening in general. And
what the situation was going to be. And that obviously led to higher pricing after the fact when you're buying a ticket that's 2 weeks out. But we didn't want to buy a ticket with a chance of not getting on a flight.
If you're booking last minute and have some flexibility, travel expert Mark Murphy suggests searching for lower fares on flights to secondary airports in the region surrounding your destination.
As you expand the map, it'll give you every every city that you can fly to and a price point that you can fly to based on your parameters. And then if the ticket prices are low, that means the hotel inventory is probably lacking in terms of, occupancy rate, and therefore you're going to get a good deal all around.
And AAA is predicting about 6 million people will travel by air over the 7-day holiday transportation period. That's about a 2% increase over last year, but no flight delays on the couch. Back to you guys.
Right, good point. And by the way, Jonathan, thanks for dressing up. Sean Duffy just called. He's very happy. When you look around, how many other people are dressed nice? Do you see a lot of sweatpants, pajama pants, slippers?
I see one pair of sweatpants. Other than that, everyone is pretty well dressed here.
Right. Good. Citizens arrest. Go over, then pull them aside. You're not flying today, pal. Dress up. Let's go to Kohl's. Thanks, Jonathan.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
More Americans are being left in the dark as soaring electricity prices trigger power shutoffs nationwide. Just in New York City alone, there has been over 111,000 shutoffs so far this year. 14 million Americans are facing debt collections because of their utility bills. And the average overdue balance is nearly $800, up 32% since just 3 years ago. Let's bring in energy economist and executive director of NEADA, Mark Wolf. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. Talk to us about this landscape that is terrifying.
Well, electric prices are up. We're almost at record levels. These are the highest prices we've seen in 10 years. Since January, the cost of electricity has gone up almost 10%. In this winter, the average bill for families who use electricity, for example, to heat their home, could be about $100 more than last year. This comes on top of higher summer cooling costs. So families are getting hit with both seasons now. It used to just be an expensive winter. Now we have an expensive winter and expensive summer.
What breaks my heart and adds to this tragedy exponentially are the deaths associated with this. And for example, there's a law in Arizona that prevents utility companies from shutting off power because of the death of an 82-year-old woman. Her name was Kate, who died in the sweltering heat. Talk to us about the dangers for these people that might be living without then heat or cool.
Well, for families that don't have, say, air conditioning, for example, in the summer, we're learning more and more what happens, especially people in frail health, the elderly, disabled people, families with young children. If they can't afford the cost of summer cooling, for example, they won't turn it on because they're afraid of the bill. And the bills are getting higher every year. Winter heating is a little bit different because if you don't turn on your heat, your pipes can freeze. So people will keep sometimes the heat down to a very low level. Sometimes it's not even safe. Remember that half the families that receive Social Security in the United States have no other source of income. This is it, their Social Security check. When prices go up for, say, electricity, you have no other choice. You can't switch to something else. And so I think what we're learning as a society is that we have to think of ways to help low and moderate, even middle-income families now pay the cost of electricity. And they're going up in ways we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, Fox News polls we can pop up on the screen show the majority saying that costs have increased last year in lockstep with the statistics that you cited. But what can we have done to lower these prices rather than just simply help these families pay it off?
Well, the most important thing right now, because we're looking at long-term increases in electricity, is to think about your house as a system. Do whatever you can to use less of it. So it's not just that the cost of electricity is going up. It's hotter in the summer. We're having a cold winter, so you're using more of it. So the kinds of things that maybe the family's been putting off, think of every way to make your home more energy efficient, turn down the heat at night. There are things you can do to lower the bill. But the biggest problem as a society, we have to think about how do we make energy more affordable? Because right now, these are costs we haven't seen in a long time. Families are struggling with other, expenses that are going up, food, medicine, but everyone gets an electric bill.
My mother used to make these incredible blankets that kept us warm, and I think about that, and I think about the families who don't have that, and just my heart breaks for them. And to also send the message that if you need help, ask for help, because there are programs and ways for people to take care of these people so that they don't freeze or swelter to death. Mark Wolf, thank you so much for this. We'll be sure to keep following your expert analysis on this really troubling topic.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Let's do this.
Wanna sell those wheels. Wanna get in off for real fast now.
With CarMax.
Or maybe a little too fast.
Do you want to take a minute, my guy?
Or like a month or two.
Time to make a move.
You wanna get it done today. You wanna do it your way.
Want to drive? CarMax.
A new study finds that 1 in 8 adolescents and young adults in the U.S. turn to an AI chatbot for mental health advice. Now, one major platform, Character AI, will no longer allow users under 18 to access its chatbots. The Wall Street Journal reporting the change is leaving many teens distraught. Quote, teens are angry, they're sad, and losing access to their chatbots. They say they will miss a creative outlet, a source of companionship, and in some cases, a mental health support. I use this app for comfort when I can't talk to my friends or therapist. One teen wrote on Reddit, I cried over it for days. Another teen replied. Family therapist Tom Kersing joining us now. Dr. Kersing, as someone who's raised teens, daughters, it's very concerning to see these young adolescents turning to an AI chatbot. It's obvious to adults, these aren't real people. This isn't real. What's your impact? What do you think the impact is?
Yeah, so, I've been, as you know, lecturing on the topic of screen time, written books about it. This is like DEFCON 5, this AI stuff, right? The problem I have with kids, teenagers in particular, is if they are communicating with something that's not real, but it's triggering a real emotion, then we have a problem, right? So you look at the term human being. I always say, what does that mean? What is the being part in human being? That's self, right? That's the connection. It's the human experience, the connection with others in a human way. We can't have that with a fake chatbot. So it's really distorted, and I'm kind of happy that that these chatbots are being removed from kids' lives. I want them outside, in the real world.
In the age of just our phones, even beyond AI, it has caused a lot of isolation. We went through COVID, and we saw that. But these teens may be turning to the chatbots, the AI chatbots, because they're lonely. How do we address that?
Yeah, that's why, you hear the term social media. We should really call it anti-social media. So what we need to do as parents, I get it, COVID was a big thing. The bedroom became the classroom. It became the playground. It was where the kids lived, in 4 walls. But we got to do better at getting our kids out in society, getting them involved in different activities and sports, going outside with them as parents, especially during the holidays right now, and just doing stuff as in the real world, planet Earth, instead of the cyber world.
So on the worst case, you've seen AI chatbots allegedly basically being a suicide coach for a distraught teen. But even on the best scenario, do these AI chatbots serve any purpose for these young people?
I mean, maybe entertainment. You could get information. It just collects, the algorithms gathers all this information. But as far as companionship, it's no different when I hear parents tell me that, their son is in the basement with a pair of headphones on playing video games, socializing with friends, right? It's not really socializing. Social emotional development comes from what you and I are doing right now, actually talking to one another.
Yeah, it replaces reality. So Character AI put out a statement, Tom. I want to read it to you. In it, they say, we're making these changes to our under 18 platform in light of the evolving landscape around AI and teens. We want to set a precedent that prioritizes teens' safety while still offering young users opportunities to discover, play, and create. What's your reaction?
Well, discover, play, and create, I think of a playground. Right, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, like even just being out in nature, like every time a kid goes outside and plays in nature with other kids, it releases something like 3,000 genes in the cortex part of their brain, and that's what shapes them socially. So a social emotional being it can't be developed from a screen. It's got to be face-to-face interaction. And they need that in order to make it to the next level in life and succeed as adults.
Well, and in the last 30 seconds I've got, you walked yourself into this. Is there any way, particularly over the holidays, to get young people to cut down their screen time?
Number one, parents, we got to practice what we preach. We got to put down our own devices and all that stuff, right? I call it thinking inside the box. Go get the box of Monopoly. Go get some games out, right? Yeah. Interact with your kids like that. And nature, like I just mentioned, nature is nurture. Being outside is the most nurturing thing for our kids. Go on some hikes. Maybe if it's snowing out, make a Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
Get the Christmas lights going. Just be interactive. It gets them away from the screen.
You hear that, upper Midwest, getting that lake effect snow? Dr. Tom Kersting, thank you very much. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
With family and friends, but it's not immune to things going wrong, and it's important to be mindful of any potential risk so that your holiday can go smoothly and without any hiccups. And by hiccups, I mean ER visits. So let's bring in board-certified family medicine physician Dr. Mike Varshavsky with some tips to keep our holiday running smoothly. And by smoothly, I mean safely.
Yeah, we need to be safe because this is a time where we gather with our family members, some who are young, some who are old, predisposed to injuries. So we want to be smart.
Right, like don't deep fry your turkey in hot oil.
Well, some people are going to do that no matter what. The idea is about doing it safely and having a plan of what to do if something happens, because things go wrong. You got to think about cuts. You got to think about burns. You got to think about orthopedic injuries, food poisonings. And the most important thing that I try to instill in every patient's mind is, what are you going to do if something happens? You need to have a plan to call 911, someone to get picked as the main person that's going to be making that contact, and making sure you're doing everything safe.
Hilariously, in my opinion, in my dad's turkey recipe that he has, in the ingredients list, it literally says, and the name or the number of the fire department, which we think is so funny. But we've never had to use it because we operate safely. So your tips, all right, avoiding kitchen cuts, use a sharp knife, carve on it. Talk to us about your tips for everyone.
So whenever you're cutting anything, you want to be cutting away from your body. You want to be using a sharp knife. And some people say, well, sharp knife, isn't that more dangerous? Actually, no, because you'll use less force, so therefore less likely to create an injury. And if you do, God forbid, cut yourself, immediate pressure, because you want to stop that bleeding. There's this tendency that I see in people to keep checking, is it still bleeding? Is it still bleeding? Pressure for full 10 minutes to make sure that it stops bleeding. Then when you're thinking about burns, the natural instinct is to say, let's put ice on it to cool it off. You don't need ice. You could actually just put it under cool water, lukewarm water, will still accomplish the same goal. And when it comes to musculoskeletal injuries, everyone wants to relive their college glory days. They're watching NFL games on Thanksgiving and they think, oh, I can do the same. Please warm up. Know your limits. Otherwise, we're going to see some sprained ankles.
I feel like my favorite tip of yours is know your limits, because that is the hardest to follow. Everything else, I'm like, I can do that. But knowing my limits, I don't think I can. And we get pretty excited over football.
Well, family arguments, family excitement, that's always going to happen. Another thing to think about is foodborne illnesses. Food is out for hours at a time. And when the food has been out for 3, 4, 5 hours, that should be the limit. It either needs to be refrigerated or gotten rid of, because bacteria does multiply. It can cause all sorts of GI issues.
Also, the slow down and chew thoroughly. Every one of your tips, I can think of a specific memory or instance where that rule was unfortunately ignored or wasn't, not followed. And I feel like the common, for me, I'm acknowledging I'm clumsy, but it's always the burns and the cuts. Always. Or moving too fast.
Moving too fast. If you're not chewing well, there's a choking risk there. That's why you have to know the back blows, the 5 back blows. If you see someone having difficulty with swallowing their food, they're turning blue, they can't breathe, they can't speak, Heimlich maneuver. Fist, thumb pointing inwards, underneath the rib cage, standing behind someone, thrust 5 times, then alternating with back blows 5 times in order to get that food out. But as you're doing that, you need to nominate a specific person to call 911, because if you just say, someone call 911, everyone in the room assumes someone else will call.
Yeah, and I'm going to say and add a final tip, which is everyone have someone in the kitchen that knows all of these tips from the good doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're in charge of educating the whole family and making sure everyone follows it. So thank you so much, Doctor. Have a safe and very happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you as well.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Well, President Trump now touting tremendous progress tonight on a peace plan to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The question is, where do negotiations go from here? Let's bring in Fox News contributors Kyron Skinner and Dan Hoffman. Thank you both for coming on. I want to play some sound. This is General Jack Keane. He believes that Russia is kind of waiting this out, Dan, and I'll get your take. Watch.
Russia has not made, Martha, one concession in all of these negotiations. Not one. And why is that? Because he has always believed time is on his side.
Is time on his side, Dan?
Well, actually, I think Russia's really suffered massive casualties here. Vladimir Putin has spilled an inordinate amount of blood and treasure in this war on Ukraine. I just don't think that Putin's objectives have changed, and I would agree with General Keane about that. Vladimir Putin wants to overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine. He's not going to accept any deal that doesn't allow him to do that, whether now or in the near term. He also wants to emphasize Russia's primacy in his own self-designated sphere of influence. And he also doesn't want the United States to project power into Europe. He doesn't want the Trump administration to get a win for a peace deal. He wants to show that Russia can thumb its nose at us. That's what he's done so far. They've made no concessions so far. Yep. Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire. Russia has not.
Trump says that Russia has made concessions. Here's what he said.
Well, they're talking about going land both ways and trying to clean up a border. You know, you can't go through the middle of a house. You can't go through the middle of a highway. So they're trying to work something. It's a complicated process. Doesn't go that quickly.
I mean, they could fight for more land. Kyron, what do you think?
I don't really think they're going to fight for more land, but Monday and Tuesday have been brutal days for Ukraine. They've been just pummeled by drones and missiles against critical infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, energy infrastructure. Lives have been lost in Ukraine. So Russia hasn't given up. But I just disagree a little bit with General Keane. I think that Putin can't wait this out. We've already mentioned that the economy is bad, the loss of life that Dan Hoffman just mentioned. Right. According to some reports, it's 1,000 a day killed or maimed. We also see low oil prices due heavy sanctions. The central bank in Russia is very nervous and concerned.
As they ought to be, right?
And less than 1% economic growth this year. How long can this go on? And if in 2026 they start a new round of military mobilization, will the Russian people want it?